Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, CBS All... Peacock? That one's gotta be made up. A new wave of streaming services are gearing up to change how we watch, all over again. Legacy media, tech giants, the early innovators, they're all vying for a piece of the streaming pie. That fierce competition for subscribers is often called a streaming war. But maybe it shouldn't be. Is it a streaming war, or is it something else?
If your question is, can there be more than one victor, which wars tend not to have? The answer is absolutely yes, there can be, and in that regard, it is not a war. I think there'll be multiple winners and multiple models, depending on which company you're talking about and what aim they want to achieve.
In that way, it's less of a streaming war and more a streaming Olympics. The services all compete for the top prize, but only few are going to win a medal. According to one survey, US consumers said that they were willing to pay for an average of 4 streaming subscriptions. But the average amount they said they were willing to spend in total, $42. Among the seemingly endless number of services out there, most analysts agree that there's really just a major streaming 7, or 8 depending on how you count. There's Netflix, of course, Amazon Prime Video and Apple TV+. Then there's HBO Max from CNN's parent company, Warner Media. Next, it's NBC's service from Comcast called Peacock, and CBS All Access, which belongs to Viacom CBS. And last, but certainly not least, is Disney Plus from, well, Disney. Hulu could be considered the 8th major service, but it's controlled by Disney too, so the money really goes back to the House of Mouse. So what do all of these services need to finish on the winner's podium? They'll need high scores in each of these 3 categories.
People sign up for these things not because they think it's cool or not because they just like the name. It's because they can watch whatever show or movie they want to watch.
Content is arguably at the core of any streaming service. That's why we've seen record-setting production and licensing deals over the last few years for everything from creators like J.J. Abrams to beloved shows like The Office.
I think we should celebrate.
I think when it comes to the top end, it's starting to get a little bit interesting. Warner's has bought back Friends, Comcast and Peacock has bought back The Office. And then of course you have Disney, pretty much the preeminent streamer when it comes to the most branded and well-known content. I think when it comes to depth of content, Netflix is still king, but I think when it comes to certain sort of crown jewels or top of the line shows and movies, they've got a lot of competition.
Having top-notch programming is essential, but it can't compromise the price consumers pay.
Apple has really come in and decided that it wants to basically undersell the competition. Disney has quite a good price, I think because of their scale and because it's a giant conglomerate that can afford to take the hit. But then again, Netflix is still, the dominant player in this space. They have 160 million or so consumers around the world. And so I think for a lot of those people, they don't think twice about paying that much. Warner's is right now already charging a fair bit for HBO. And if HBO Max is going to be all that plus or max, then they can afford to maybe get away with $15. Peacock right now, Comcast service, the problem is going to be how do they price it attractively enough that it's going to bring in a lot of subscribers, but how do they not also undercut or undersell their cable business?
And initial pricing is important to rope in loyal customers early, so that if and when the prices go up later, they don't cancel their subscription.
Don't you agree?
The third category might not be the most obvious, but it may be the one subscribers encounter most: user experience.
It's like, breathing. If you're thinking about it, you probably have an issue.
This may not be the feature that gets people to sign up for a service, but it could be the thing that keeps them there.
Netflix has been at the center of this user experience debate for a long time, right? I mean, this is a company out of Silicon Valley that very much prides itself on algorithms and serving the viewer with what they want. I mean, even the idea of binging. Netflix has been doing that for a long time. Warner is interesting too, because with HBO Go and HBO Now, I think those platforms have a pretty good experience. Amazon is certainly among a small handful of companies that really knows what consumers want, even though their user experience now is, again, tailored more towards selling you a lot of other stuff.
And at the end of the day, these companies, unlike athletes, are competing for something other than God or country. Is streaming a good business?
I think that right now, a lot of consumers don't want to deal with as many middlemen as they used to. Now, that's a very different question from, is this smart to be spending this much money on and to be going all in on in the way that some of these firms are? But I think right now it's important, at least for those of us who cover it, to ask those questions while still keeping in mind that overall streaming and direct-to-consumer digital content is a smart thing to be doing.